and some who were kind of upset the teacher was gone, like Maggie. So when I thought of the idea, I started thinking what different kinds of kids would feel differently about the teacher. There would be kind of the class clown, goof off, like Kyle, who might be really excited, at least at first. And then there's the class brain who really enjoys school, and might be kind of depressed. And then there's the really quiet kid, Eric. How would he might be mixed, and something's good, something's bad. So I tried to think of it in terms of how 5 different students all had very different backgrounds and very different thoughts and ideas, how that might affect them. So that kind of led me to create those characters.
How long does it typically take you to write a book?
So anywhere from 6 months to 2 years or more. I'm writing a book right now, and we're going to about a year, and it's not maybe 2, 3 months. I'm hoping it'll be completed. But for example, Class Dismissed only took about 4 or 5 months. So it really kind of depends on the book and how fast it wants to write itself. Sometimes the very first time I write the book, it's pretty good, and I have to go back and revise a lot, but kind of the main structure is there. Other times I write a book and there's parts I like and parts I don't like, and I have to rewrite the entire book from scratch a bunch of times before I finally find the idea and the nugget of truth that I think the book should communicate. So it's all over the place.
The students wanted to know if you have a favorite author and or a favorite book.
Okay, well I have 2 favorite books. I have a favorite book that's a kid's book, and I have a favorite book that's more of an adult book. My favorite kids' books are the Harry Potter series, and my favorite Harry Potter book is number 4, Goblet of Fire. So that's my favorite book for kids. I also, right behind it, the book Holes by Louis Satcher. And in terms of my favorite authors, Louis Satcher and J.K. Rowling would be my 2 favorite authors. Then I have an adult book that's like a 1,200-page book that I've read like 4 or 5 times, despite how long it is, and it's called The Count of Monte Cristo. This is a very famous classical book written 200 years ago, but it's a very long book.
Great. The last question that they had on the list was the one best piece of advice that you could give to young writers or students in general. I have some inspiring or budding authors in this room, so they're eager for advice.
You know, I look at the stuff that I wrote, I see everyone's pointing to the budding author right there. What's your name? Drew. So the difference between the stuff I write now, that is a lot better than the stuff I wrote when I was your age, is the time I take to revise and revise. Back when I was in elementary school or middle school, I was writing a lot. I would write something once, maybe go back and tweak it a little bit, and then I would go on to the next thing. Now I write my books 30 times, the whole book 20, 30 times. So I might write the entire book in 2 months, and it might take another 6 months to a year to more to revise and revise and revise. And I think that's really the key to make something that's pretty good, to make something that's great, is your ability to continue looking at it and continue to improve it, and not just be settled with the book or whatever you're writing to be okay, but to really push the envelope and make it that much better every time. Then you'll get something that's good enough to share, good enough to get an A in your classroom, or good enough to maybe get published someday. But the difference between author, adult Alan, and 8, 10, 12-year-old Alan is just my ability to sit down and revise until I know it's good enough. And one of the differences now when I write, I'm writing for an audience. I know people are going to read it. So it's not like before I used to write stuff and maybe my teacher would see it and there'd be it. So that'd be pretty good, but after my teacher saw it or after my parents saw it, it was done. Now I'm writing it for my agent and the editor and the publishing house and all their readers, so I know my stuff has to be a lot better than it was when I was younger. So that challenge of making something that's so good people want to buy it, and they can buy millions of books. They don't have to buy my books. So if I want my book to be the one that they buy, it has to be really good. And the only way I I can do that is by revising.
Excellent. All right.
We have more time, so we've been, any other questions anyone has? I still have a few more minutes here to spend with you guys.
I think too, we wanted to tell you how much we did enjoy it. We, laughed out loud reading it, and it was interesting how you had the chapters go from character to character back and forth, because at first they were like, wait, why is Eric telling it now? And then it was kind of neat to see it from the different points of view. When you said you were trying to get it to relate to different students, that's exactly what happened. I could see some of our, let's say, more class clown kids kind of, laughing at the eraser wars at first, and then it was kind of like, oh yeah, that would get old, wouldn't it? And, and so forth. And at first, they're a 5th grade class, and they're a challenging class. And we read the book, and they were like, this is just like us, and would you quit? Oh, that'd be awesome if you quit. And then, not that they don't like me, but after we got into the book, they realized, how hard that would really be, and how it would not be as cool as it sounds. So we really enjoyed it. I know it hasn't been out that long, so I thought that.
Two things I can touch on with that is when you read a book, usually you want your character to start someplace and end in a different place. If the person doesn't like school, the book ends, they still don't like school, it's not really very interesting. You want them to have a change in their attitude, and something that happens in the story that makes them grow, makes them change, makes them have a different outlook on life. And so it was important for me when I wrote the characters, I kind of started with where they started, and had to kind of figure out where they were at. And if the teacher not being there didn't change them, and they had the same feeling that teachers are bad than they had at the beginning of the book, there wasn't much of a book there. So I kind of, when I thought of my characters, I thought, as the story went on, how could they change? The class clown, Kyle, if you're still a goof off at the end of the book, well, then he wouldn't have learned anything. But by being in the situation and putting him in a place, and you see his family life, if it's a younger brother who kind of gets in trouble, and he learns how important it is not only to be good at school, but be responsible, you can see how the impact of not having a teacher influence each kid. And so that's what makes the book interesting, is having characters start one place, and having a character end at a different place, and seeing that journey and how it impacts not only their lives, but their attitudes and their feelings. So, that was important. Also, when I was writing the book, something that's before, how I wrote it was I thought of the whole plot. What would happen? Teacher left, what would various kids do? And then I wrote all of Eric's chapters. So I figured, okay, chapter 1, 10, 15, 17, 22, those are going to be Eric chapters, and I think Eric will kind of be the star of those chapters. And so I wrote out his chapters first. And then I went back, I'm going to have Maggie. Maggie's going to be the star of chapters, 3, 9, 14, whatever. And then I wrote out Maggie's chapters. And then when I got done, I wrote each chapter at a time, each character at a time. Then I had 38 chapters, and I had, so does this still work? I gotta read it now and make sure does chapter 2 go into chapter 3, go into chapter 4, and they're totally different people. So that was a challenge. Although the hardest chapter to write was by far the play. I think it took me as long to write the play as it did to write the rest of the book.
They love that. They want to perform it.
Lots of times. I originally was going to play being a totally different play.
It's good.
Songs were kind of the last thing I wrote.
Oh. All right. Morgan, what's your question?
Are you going to make an adult book, and if you aren't, have you already?
I have not written an adult book, and I don't have plans to write one yet. Maybe someday. I've only been writing. My first book came out 4.5 years ago. So I hope to have many more years, many more books. And maybe someday an adult book. Right now, I'm just writing for kids. I can't pick arms or hands, so.
Ryan.
Were you like one of the characters more than the others?
Do I like one of the characters more than the others? Is that what you asked?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the character of Eric was the most like me. I was kind of the quiet kid in class who wrote a lot, like Eric. So, personally, I kind of related to Eric a little bit more. I liked all all the characters about equally. I'm not sure if I had a favorite. We have time for 2 more questions.
One more? Okay. Drew, it's not a question? Is it really important?
I have a really good one.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I wrote a book.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. he's our budding author, so he keeps
Hopefully I'll get
writing.
to read someday.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Blake.
Are any of the stories Eric wrote ones that you actually wrote? Like,
No, I wrote all of them originally for the book, nothing edited before.
That's a good
Maybe
question.
one more.
All right, Maya.
how many books have you wrote so far?
Well, how many have I written, how many have I published is, very different. So right now, my 4th book was class dismissed. 5th book, if you count some others. I've written probably 5 or 6 others that are on my computer. Some of them are really, really bad and no well received. And a couple of them I think are good, and I need to rewrite them a lot more though to get those back.
Awesome.
Maybe some.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Thank you
for-
so much.
Thank you.
This was super awesome. We're going to give a presentation to the whole school on our experiences. This is the first time any class has done this, so.
Okay, well, great. I'm
Yeah.
glad I was feedback. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys. Have a
All
great day.
right. Bye.
Bye.